One of the most annoying questions I get, whether it's in comment sections or live streams, are questions like, how do I know if I'm lukewarm? How do I know if I've lost my salvation? How do I make sure that I'm saved? All these questions revolve around people trying to find some type of affirmation in their faith, worried about making sure that I'm not going to hell and that I'm saved. We even see this in how people cling to things like prophets and prophecies and tongues. These are things you can see and hear and feel, and if I can cling to that, then that's real enough to make me feel like, okay, I'm in the right spot. And if you attack those things and say that's not real, that thing you're holding on to, they feel like you're challenging their entire faith. Because honestly, they've probably put a lot of their faith into that rather than Christ. Look, I don't mean to sound too rude on this, but what are you doing if you're asking these questions nonstop? Can I tell you what I hear? I hear, Mike, where's the line at so I can get as close to that line as possible? A Christian shouldn't be asking, how do I know if I'm lukewarm? How do I know if I'm double-minded? How do I know if I'm disobeying? How do I know? How do I know? Instead, you should wake up every day saying, today I will serve you, Lord. At my job, I will serve you in how I treat others and respect my job. In my home, how I honor my family. In my walk, how I honor everyone. In my day-to-day life, I will give glory and praise to you today. I will pursue you today. This is what the word trust means. It's not some vain word like I trust Jesus, but I just want to make sure. How do I know I'm saved? No, you're saying you trust Jesus, but you also are trying to find something else to put your trust in, something on my part. Trust is saying, Lord, today, whether I do good or do bad, my salvation's in your hands. I can do nothing today to make myself more saved. I can do nothing today to make myself less saved. Salvation is the Lord's. Therefore, I will serve you today, Lord. And whatever it be, your will be done, Lord. I've had people tell me, oh, you're not saved, you're going to hell. Then I'll preach the gospel to the gates of hell. What do you think that's going to do? It's going to stop me from serving God? I challenge you to stop waking up and asking all the questions of how do I toe the line of salvation? Here's a question for you. If I told you your very next sin would cause you to lose your salvation, would you have to change how you're living? Now, I don't mean being more careful, because we could probably all be more careful because complacency can be a thing in a Christian's life. I'm asking, would you have to make actual drastic changes to who you spend time with, where you're going, and what you're doing? And if the answer is yes, then I would argue you might not know the Lord yet. I think there's a lot of people out here that they're pursuing salvation and not God. Self-preservation, I don't want to go to hell. And if it be true, let me go ahead and hedge my bet. Hey, what do I got to do to make sure I'm good? How do we make sure we're safe? Hey, what do we got to make sure? Because I'm going to die one day, and let me just make sure I'm good for when I die. It sounds like your eternity isn't starting until you die. This is my life, and I just want to make sure I'm good then. And if that's your mindset, then I get this idea of losing salvation. However, the Bible declares that once you are in Christ, you are born again, a new creation of imperishable seed. Your eternity began when you put your trust in Christ. Every day I live now, I live for the Lord. Whether I live it good or I live it bad, I live it for the Lord. Rather than asking, how do I make sure I'm not this and I'm not that? Wake up every day and say, Lord, I just want to serve you to the best of my ability. Wake up and set your eyes on the cross. And no matter how many times you fall in a day, you make sure you set your eyes back on that cross before the day ends. Jesus said the will of his Father is whoever looks upon the Son and believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. He compares it to the bronze serpent in the wilderness. And if you're familiar with that story, Moses raised it up and all they had to do was look upon it. That is literally what trust is. I used an analogy on my live stream tonight, but I said to someone, if I handed you a brick and said, hey, because you're holding this brick, you won't fall, jump off that cliff, not many of you would do it. You could say you trust me. You might even say like, yeah, I believe you. Doesn't mean you're going to do it. Likewise, someone can come to you and bring you the gospel and say, hey, if you got this, you won't fall down that cliff. You could say you trust it, but when someone walks up and says, I'm going to push you over the edge, we will then find out if you actually trust him. And sometimes that push over the edge is that person saying, hey, let's go do this thing that's in clear disobedience of God. Hey, let's go do these things that you know God hates. They're standing there saying, I'm about to push you over the edge. Because if you decline, they're going to be like, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Oh, you're one of those Christians. Oh, you're one of those people. And even though you know that Jesus said, I'll catch you, you're scared to let them push you. Because will he catch me? That's not trust. I challenge you today, trust him. Wake up and serve him. Be still and know that He is God. God bless, and go in peace, guys.